like to call our meeting to order. We have the prayer and the pledge by Councilwoman Deidre Ledbetter.
Dear Father, we thank you for everyone gathered here now. Thank you that you know each of us by name and have caused us to walk with you. We say that we are dependent on you and our trust is in you completely. As we surrender ourselves in adoration, we ask that you would come by your Holy Spirit and inspire our hearts today. Come, fill our lives with your love. Fill our conversations with your grace and truth. Fill this meeting with your presence. We ask this for your glory and praise. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Dan Doyle.
Here.
Councilmember Natalie Lopez.
Present.
Councilmember Marlon Lewis.
Here.
Councilmember David Broussard. Councilmember Deidre Ledbetter.
Here.
Councilmember Sherry Guidry.
Present.
Councilmember Dustin Swear.
Here.
Thank you. We have no public comment tonight, no cards. We'll move on to item 2.
Acceptance of the minutes. Acceptance of the minutes of the February 19, 2019 meeting as published on March 1st, 2019.
Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Councilman Lewis and a second by Councilman Swear. Do we have any discussion on this item? Hearing none, seeing none, please vote your machines. Thank you. Item 3.
Persons to address the council, we have Donovan Davis about the Partnering for Change conference on March 7, 2019 at the Slyman Theater.
How you guys doing? Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Send my love and condolences to everyone in here. Bless the Lord. Been a long, hard fight in Iberia. Amen. Especially me being a foot soldier in the city, all over the city. It's had a cumulative effect. All of the work together collectively, myself, I, and others. Amen. Within the Christian Ministerial Federation in the new chapter push. And Church of Philadelphia, the church that I'm affiliated a part of. Amen. In Audrey Street, Dawes City Project. In the Christian Ministerial Federation and Word of Hope World Outreach Ministry. We decided to partner together for change, seeing that we have a vast assortment of problems that are happening within our city. And it's too much for any one person, institution, or church to handle. So the New Iberia Christian Ministerial Federation and New Chapter Push, which I'm a part of, has decided to partner to change, for change in the city, amen? And the purpose of it is to bring together churches, nonprofits, employers, law enforcement, local government, and other groups and organizations, civic and social, within the communities in an effort to compile together resources to make these resources available to those within the initiative. The people who we're targeting within the city and the Iberia Parish within the initiative are children and youth, young adults, as well as those in transition from incarceration. And that's dealing with criminal justice reform, amen? To our communities, and coming back to our communities and helping them transition out of prison and back and successfully reintegrate into society so they can be positive, godly, and productive citizens. The homeless, battered women and children, the mentally challenged, and those that are challenged with drugs and alcohol abuse and addiction. Amen. So those are all the people. It's a vast assortment of people who have a variety of dilemmas and are strongholds, mental, within their minds and their hearts, who are bound by substance abuse and drugs, chemical substances. Amen. And we've decided to come together finally and work together, put our collective consciousness together, amen, and resources, so that we could take these resources and tools and meet it to the people who are in need. This event will be tomorrow morning. It will be at 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock p.m. at the Slyman Theater on Main Street. Amen. That's it.
Thank you very much. Madam
Miss-
Clerk, 3A, 3B.
Ms. Renee Stansberry, Regional Manager of the Louisiana Campaign for Tobacco-Free Living, to address the City Council on their upcoming event entitled Iberia in the Know Resource Fair.
Hi, thank you for having me here tonight to talk to you. I know I've been before you several times wearing a lot of different hats. Of course, I always wear my smoke-free hat. But I am currently serving as the chair for the Healthy Communities Coalition, which will now be called Healthy Iberia Coalition. And we're an unfunded coalition of just community agencies and individuals that come together to improve the health of Iberia Parish residents and hope to improve their quality of life. So last year was our first year, so we're believing and praying and claiming that this year's weather will be a lot better than last year's weather for our first year. But we're having the Iberia in the Know in the city park on April 13th of this year from 10 to 2. And basically, it is an event to bring the community together. When we talk about unity in the community, there's two things at this event we want to accomplish. One is to let all of Iberia Parish residents know about the resources that they have within their own community to live healthy and make healthy lifestyle choices. Iberia has a lot of great things going, a lot of good things growing here in the city, and we just can't assume that all of our residents know about it. You know, new Iberia residents may know, but what about the others in the parish? So we said we were going to host this to let them know about the services that they have here in their own parish, that they don't have to travel to Lafayette or surrounding areas. They can get those services here within their own parish. And the second part of that is we hope to increase collaboration amongst community agencies. You know, in today's times with our resources dwindling down, it's more important than ever that we unify together and we come together to host this and increase that collaboration. I did put some information in front of you. You can see our partners. We do have a lot more partners this year participating in the event. And it's our hope that we can address the physical, spiritual, social, emotional, mental, and financial wellness of our residents here within the parish. We want to come together to plug them into resources that they have. Maybe if they need health care but they're not sure where to go, we can help them get health insurance, health coverage, those types of things. So that's what we're doing with this event. In your packet that I provided you, we do have a sponsorship. Last year we had some very happy children that went home with bikes and hula hoops and basketballs and a variety of different things. We try to collect door prizes that are around, again, living well. Either it's a book on how to address mental health or physical activity. Those are the types of things. So you can see a sponsorship packet you have. Also volunteers. Volunteers are very important. We are partnering with a lot of the organizations here in New Iberia to have volunteers out, but again, this is something that we're always looking for volunteers. If you're not a face painter, don't worry, we have stencils. You can stick a face stencil on there and paint a child's face for us. So no part is too big or too small that we need to fill. And then also a vendor packet, vendor registration form. If you know any organizations within the community, help us get the word out. Again, we are going to be going on a couple of the news stations to promote the event, but any promotion that we can do within the city. And again, this is for profit as well as nonprofit organizations, because this is about bringing everyone together to address the wellness needs of the residents. So do y'all have any questions about anything?
Any questions? Can't thank you enough for coming. I think it's a great event, and we all know, you know, from our work, even here as the council, collaborating and networking and pulling people together, you know, that gives us our resources and just kind of doubles our strength, you know. So
That's
thank
what we're
you.
trying. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Have a good
Appreciate
night.
it. Madam Clerk, item 4.
Public hearings. Public hearing on introduction of budget amendment ordinance number 2018-2019-06, amending the ordinance levying certain taxes, appropriating the funds necessary to defray the expenses and liabilities of the city of New Iberia for the year 2018-2019, to amend the budget to appropriate remaining funds associated with Church Alley project and accept funds for the Historic Preservation Training Project grant.
Do I have a motion to open this public hearing?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Guidry and a second by Councilwoman Ledbetter. Is there anyone here to comment on this item? Hearing no one, I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Our same too. Appreciate it. Now we move on to item 4B.
Public hearing on introduction of budget amendment ordinance number 2018-2019-07, amending the ordinance levying certain taxes, appropriating the funds necessary to defray the expenses and liabilities of the city of New Iberia for the year 2018-2019, to amend budget to reclass LCDBG Project 1, Hopkins Street target areas, and LCDBG Project 2, Bayard and Jean Street target areas.
Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion.
Motion by
Second.
Councilman Lewis and Councilwoman Ledbetter is a second. Is there any public comment on this issue? Hearing none, I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Lewis, Councilwoman Ledbetter. Thank y'all. Now we move on to item 5.
Budget amendments and ordinance. Adoption of budget amendment ordinance number 2018-2019-06, amending the ordinance levying certain taxes, appropriating the funds necessary to defray the expenses and liabilities of the city of New Iberia for the year 2018-2019, to amend the budget to appropriate remaining funds associated with Church Alley project and accept funds for the Historic Preservation Training Project grant.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Guidry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Swear. Do we have any discussion on this item? Hearing none, please vote your machines. Thank y'all. Madam Clerk, 5B.
Adoption of budget amendment ordinance number 2018-2019-07, amending the ordinance levying certain taxes, appropriating the funds necessary to defray the expenses and liabilities of the city of New Iberia for the year 2018-2019, to amend budget to reclass LCDBG Project 1, Hopkins Street target areas, and LCDBG Project 2, Bayard and Jean Street target areas.
We need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Lewis. Do I have a second? Councilwoman Ledbetter. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote your machine. Thank y'all. Madam Clerk, item 6.
Appointment. Reappointment of Willie Mae Jefferson to serve on the Municipal Civil Service Board for another term for a period of 5 years, April 1, 2019 to April 1, 2024, subject to approval by the New Iberia City Council.
Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Lewis, and who is the second? Councilman
Yes.
Swear. Good. We have any discussion? Well, I'll just tell you, Ms. Jefferson is my appointment. And the first Civil Service Board meeting I went to, I had probably been in office a month, and she's pretty well schooled me at the Civil Service Board meeting. Really knows what she's doing. You know, I'm always the one who says at times, oh, let's get new energy, you know, fresh blood, those kind of things. But she really knows what she's doing, and I actually called some board members and asked them and said, you know, I take this seriously. And they said she is a real asset, and I felt the same way, so I put her up to do it again. So if there's no discussion, yes, sir.
Mayor, is this the same Ms. Jefferson that lives in the Western Park?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Retired principal?
Principal, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Very nice.
That very nice lady,
Yes.
and she'll school you.
She's
So,
in my district, and I'm proud to have her as a member of my district.
oh yeah, very nice lady. Any further discussion? Then I'll ask you to please vote your machines. Great, thank you very much. Item 7.
Financial reports. Presentation by Kevin Zarang, City Treasurer, of the November 1, 2018 through January 31, 2019 budget to actual comparisons.
Thank you, Kevin.
Hello, Council. I hope everybody's doing well.
Thanks, Kevin.
If y'all are okay, we'll do the same, we'll follow the same procedure we have in the past and just do it in total unless y'all have questions.
No, that's fine.
Okay. This report is for the period ending January 31st, 2019, which is 3 months into the fiscal year. At 3 months, we should be at 25% of the budget. General fund budgeted 19.4 million. Actual is 5.0. leaving us at 25.92. Expenses budgeted at 19.4, actual is 4.5, leaving us at 23% of our budget. Parks and Recreation, revenue budget at 1.2, actual is 750,749,000, which is 62.21%, and that is same as prior months. That is due to the ad valorem tax being recorded all at once instead of over 12 months. Expenses of 1.4, budgeted, actual is 245,000. They are at 18% of their budget. Public Works, budgeted 2.8 million, actual is 1.2. They are at 44% of their revenue. The reason for that is the same as Parks. Expenses of 2.8, actual is 613,000, putting them at 22% of their budget. The sales tax fund, 11.2 million revenue budgeted, actual is 3 million, putting them at 26.83, 27% of their budget. Expenses of 11.6, actual is 2.9, putting them at 24.9 or 25%. Garbage fund, revenue budgeted at 4.8, actual is 1.3, putting them at 26% of their budget. Expenses of 4.8, actual of 1.2, putting them at 24.9, 25%. Section 8, revenue budgeted at 1.3 million, actual is 346,000, putting them at 26.45% of their revenue. Expenses, 1.3, actual is 339,000, putting them at 25.28% of their budget. Wastewater, budgeted revenue of 5.6, actual is 1.5, putting them at 26.5, 27%. Expenses of 4.9, actual of 1.1, putting them at 22.12% of their budget expense. Do I have any questions from the council?
Any questions, comments? Thank you, Kevin, and this is a testament to not only you, but all our department heads. I mean,
Yes.
to watch this budget go through and see that everything is staying right in line. I communicate with all of these people every day, and y'all wouldn't believe the amount of breakdowns, the amount of minor catastrophes we have on a daily basis, that these people really work for us and work for you and our community to keep these budgets, you know, and keep them where they are. It's difficult. We have a lot of challenges, but I just want to thank all of you for that. And we'll move on to item 8.
Items for discussion. Mayor Freddie DePort will discuss the process of demolition, boarding up blighted properties, and grass cutting.
Thank you. I put this on to kind of be the spark plug. We said we would sell adjudicated property and we would take the funds from the adjudicated property and utilize it for demolitions, for cleaning our city up. We have, only from adjudicated property, we've generated $53,498. Well, I'm coming tonight to give you a plan to spend that money. What we've done is Jimmy and I rode around. And look, this is not in stone. If there's some changes, you know, we're flexible. But what Jimmy and I did was ride around and look for some easy wins. Look for some demos that were either falling apart, that we knew no offense, no one would probably save them. They were some trailers, they were some commercial building, there were just buildings that would be very easy and hopefully economical to tear down so that our money would go further. Then we thought about our new boarding process that we've been talking about. Now the boarding process will follow exactly the demo process. We select the houses, we bring them to the council, there's notification, there's every part and piece. People come to the council, we're going on private property to adjust somebody's attitude, to do something with their property. To do that, we have to take the same steps as if we were tearing it down, because property rights, you know, we all value our property rights as citizens. So the boarding will allow us to do more bang for our buck. And instead of demoing houses, we tried to select houses that if they were boarded now. Why do we do this? Public safety is the paramount reason why we react. If it's a health or public safety issue, these houses that we board could actually be saved. we also spend less money of our coffers by boarding them up than tearing them down. So tonight was to get the discussion started, to show you these houses that we've selected. Many of them, where did I get them? From the complaints that y'all turn in, from looking at the ones that have been chronic problems. Remember, we kind of looked at the ordinance again. We did a few things a little differently. Now it's time to get moving. So we're going to run through the houses, have any discussion you want on them. If you tell me good, then our next step is to enact this, because we have the money and we need to send a clear message. You know, we have a litter van now. It's running around a few days a month. We're trying to increase that, where we're using people from court, thanks to the police department, and they drive the van and supply the van. We are beginning to, you know, kind of clamp down on cleaning this place up, and you're an integral part of that. So, Jimmy, why don't you start on our little presentation?
I got the demo.
Go with the demos first.
807 Bush Alley.
Right.
505 Dore Alley.
And you have them in your packet, but anytime you want to stop to make a comment or anything,
625
just holler out.
Henry Lewis.
Okay, real quick, back to Bush Alley. Where is that? I know Bush Alley, I just
Off
can't.
of Anderson,
Uh-huh,
just before Bro Alley. It's a
Okay,
little
all right.
short,
all right. Yeah, I know Bush Alley.
it's a dead end.
Yeah, with the 2 abandoned houses that we had looked at a couple of years ago.
You
Yeah.
tore down a couple of years.
Yes.
Yeah, we tore those down, you remember? Yeah.
1405 Iberia. 221 Johnson.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
This property's been sitting there in that condition for quite a while,
Very long time.
very long time. So what's the process? So there's a note that was left on my notes, because this is in my district, that there was a call on January 3rd that they were going to do something with this, that they were going to take care of it. What's the process now? We're in March. Have you got any calls back on it?
Nothing, no,
Zero.
nothing.
So-
Nothing's been done that I know of.
If you let us, we want to move on it.
Yeah.
In other words, it'll come, Jeff will finish the research, it'll go through our normal process. Jeff does the research, notifies the owners, lets us know who to notify. We make sure we send the letters out, we start the process, we come as we have been doing, you know, the last 2 years, and we proceed, and if you
Yeah.
vote to demo it, we demo it.
And like you said earlier, putting a message out there, because I mean, this has
but
been.
the problem is when they come in, I'll need to know, because whenever we go through the process with this, if they come in for a demo permit, I don't wanna have to wait 6 months because they didn't do anything.
That's my concern, as far
I
as
don't-
waiting any.
I don't wanna, you know,
We don't want to sit here and have a
Once
waiting game
these
with
hit
them
the
saying that
list-
they're going to come do it and then not.
I'm inclined not to give them a demo permit,
Okay.
because once it's here,
I'm inclined to listen to my attorney. And if he says we have to, we have to.
Yeah.
If we don't have to, I don't want
that's-
to.
Okay.
That's
I
why I'm bringing it
understand.
up.
All right, that's just the comments I had on that particular property.
But the point of this tonight is to move on some of these, because y'all have been, you know, councils before us have dealt with some of these houses, and we've been here 2 years together, and I mean, I feel frustrated, just like I'm sure you do, because you represent people in these neighborhoods that are complaining, and they feel like nothing's getting done. So this, to me, although I don't have another 50,000, I do. We got a whole lot of property on civicsource.com. Keep buying, and I'll show you what we do with the money. But this is a good start, you know. Any further on this one? All right, keep rolling, Jim.
720 Mary Street.
Where's Mary at?
That's in my
That's-
district.
Mary is,
Yeah.
you
It
know where the
intersects
apartments
Lee
are?
and
Uh,
Chapman.
St. Mary,
No,
Mary Street is off of, Lee Street.
off of Lee Street.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, I had to look on the map.
Got it.
This is 107 Monterey.
Yeah.
133 Reynolds. 604 Rosalie. 711 Rosalie. 218 Rosier.
They stole off the metal off of it.
What's your recommendation, Jimmy?
203 School. 312 Wayne.
Now, where is Wayne Street?
That's in my.
Off a trot.
That's off a trot.
This one,
off of Trotter,
Between
between
Trotter and
Trotter and Parkview.
Parkview.
That's all our
Right, that's all-
demos?
That's all the demos.
Yeah. Yeah, and so like I said, with no objection, I want to move on these. Jeff would begin the process, and we'll be bringing them back to you. So that's the first step, and now we'll move to the boarding, which is something new for us, but we'd like to kind of show you the candidates we picked to board. Jimmy?
709 Ann. 826 Bank. That would be an expensive house to demo. It's full of asbestos.
And some of them can be saved. I mean,
Yeah.
the point of
Yeah.
this is, we don't want to tear down anybody's property.
Right.
None of us want to represent empty lots. So the point of this is if we can save them, we want to.
723 Cherokee. 1306 Corrine. 705 and a half Courgette. 103 Doris. 634 Abath. 206 Henry. 1505 Howard. 508 Julia. 534 Lafayette. 678 Mullane. 644 East Persian. 111 Robertson. 726 Rosalie.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jimmy,
Oh.
111 Robinson, what's going on with that particular?
That house is in foreclosure.
Okay, and so no one lives there, and so we want to board it up? Okay.
Yeah. 506 Silver. 525 Silver. 626 East St. Peter. That was the last one.
And like I said, these are ones that are candidates to be boarded up, follow the same process, and it would let our money go further, and it would take care of issues where there is a safety violation, or we feel there is, some public threat, or, law enforcement, some reason that, these houses need to be boarded up. Comment? Yes,
I
sir.
have one question. So a house that's in the foreclosure process, who paid, so if we go and board the house, does the bank, how does that work with foreclosure properties? Since it's not, does it go directly back to the original owner, or does it go to the bank that's foreclosing the property?
It gets put on the taxes of the property,
So who,
whoever buys it.
whoever buys it is gonna have to cover that
Yes.
bill?
Could be the bank.
Could be the bank,
Yeah,
could
that's
be
what
a
I'm
citizen
asking.
buy it, whoever buys it, the next
The
purchaser,
owner?
the new owner will
We'll cover that.
cover that.
Okay.
Yeah, in most cases, with a regular demolition, when it's not in foreclosure, we don't have anybody available to pay us anyway,
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
so.
Which is what's happening with all of these, is that, many of them, we never get our money back. But the minute we can sell them, clear the property, hopefully someone will do something with it, we no longer have to cut the grass. And to kind of give you the overview of the plan, we would like to proceed on the demos first, and I'll be bringing those to you, very soon. I'd like to save the boarding, because our public works crews are going to do the boarding. So that, I would like to concentrate on the demos, make sure that our money goes as far as we think it is with the demos. We could have run into a problem, could run into asbestos. So get all the demos done, which also will get Mr. Leroy and his crews get through grass cutting, to where by the fall, when the grass cutting eases up, that we'll have all these ready to go though, then we can start boarding. But I think that works with our crews. That's the cheapest, most efficient way to handle this, is do the demos now, and then get all them done, and then board, like I said, when our grass cutting eases up. When we talk about grass cutting, just wanted to bring up, as always, we got to stop people and make them aware to stop throwing the grass in the street. And our grass is 12 inches for, all the residential areas. When your grass is 12 inches, that's when it doesn't meet code anymore. Because we do have, what's that? Under an acre. Under an acre. Over an acre, it goes up to 18 inches.
It's true.
And that's the truth.
People gonna be calling talking about now
I know that. But we need to know that, because people call like when it's 6 inches, 7 inches.
Right.
We get so many calls of people, and then Hillary has to tell them the grass isn't high enough yet. It doesn't
Right.
meet, the code that it needs to have attention. It doesn't take long. Wait 2 more weeks, and it'll be 12 inches. And then it gets into a system. So once it's 12 inches is turned in, it does not mean that the city can go cut it the next day. it's going to be in the system and it's going to get cut, but it takes a little turnaround time because there are many lots, and we have to send a letter and we have to follow a process. But I just like to turn that, bring that up because you as council people get grief about it. I call that in. Why didn't you go get the grass cut? My staff gets calls and grief about it. It is a process. It does not qualify till 12 inches, and then it has to go through a process. So if it doesn't get cut as quickly as you would like it, we are working the process as quick as we can, but this way at least you would understand why. So I wanted to bring that up, stop throwing the grass in the road, and that's kind of the basis of my discussion tonight. If there's any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Did we send those letters to the grass cutting services not to do that?
We have, and we probably have to send another round of them, but that's something we have done and will continue to do. We also have that letter that if you see someone, you can call and request that the city send a letter, and that will pick up. We started that last year, and it's kind of effective. I mean, it works. And I'm sure with the grass cutting season, coming on its way, we'll be sending out a lot of those letters. Any further discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I got one house, it's not quite on the list, because we did take care of it, that's the one, Mr. Jimmy helped me with, that was, what street that was, the little side street is off of Robinson, where the toilets was in the back, and then the toilets was brought, Providence. The tree fell inside of the house, it's around the corner from St. Edward's School. Yeah.
Oh, you had the toilets in the yard?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was Deidre's buddy.
Yeah.
I remember that discussion that night.
And then we got them to board it up
Yes.
and stuff, and then next thing you know, the tree fell in over the house, and so now the tree is inside of the house. So, I don't know what we're gonna do with that.
That's a weird one. We talk about, trees are a whole nother issue because we don't cut trees. That's one thing that everybody needs to know.
Yeah.
If a tree falls on a lot or anywhere, we're not a tree cutting service.
Right.
We don't consider a tree to be dangerous to it's on the ground. So it's not dangerous. It doesn't pose any health threat. So if a tree's on a lot or a tree somewhere, we're not tree cutters.
Okay.
And that's
Well,
just,
there's a big, huge hole in the house.
The tree was cut off.
Yeah, and then,
But there's a hole.
well, then that's a
there's
house that maybe we'll have to revisit.
Yeah.
But now we'll go through the process again and revisit it,
Okay.
as a damaged house, as something that's, not livable. But if it fits the bill again, and
Okay.
we'll go through that process again and have an interesting discussion. Yes, sir.
I just want to comment on, if I can, about Dustin's question concerning the mortgage companies. We had one on Obi Street that was foreclosed, wide open, people was in and out. And the neighbor had been complaining about it, and I say complaining, it was a legitimate concern. So we went over there. I actually got the police department to go. Captain Corey Porter came over there with me. We went sit down and talked to the concerned citizen, and we got on it. We got the number off the door, and we called and we called and we called, because those mortgage companies will give you the runaround.
Yep.
Big time. But when Corey Porter started to email them and call them, and I mean, in a matter of weeks, they were there boarding it up, cleaning it up. It was a mess, though. It was nasty. They had just old clothes, old furniture. You swear they had started cleaning out the house and then just leaving it on the
Right.
on a patio, on a driveway. And I tell you, man, just hitting them with the police department, and before long they was there cleaning it up, and now we got it boarded up. So that's a process. I just wanted to share with my fellow council members that a little pressure by us, as well as what Jimmy does, we can get some things taken care of. Because I was having some problems with that house. They were giving me the runaround until I got our police department involved, and I think Freddie, you know about it, because I called you about it, and got them to call, and I don't know what he told them, but they were on it. So just a process, just a comment I thought I wanted to share with y'all that we can use. It was effective for us.
Good. Yeah, Corey Porter, that's a cat there. He'll get it done, which is good. Captain Porter does a great job and is really involved in our community. And it's a great resource. And I think you're right. The pressure of my office, of Jimmy, we can get some things done. And I think we're beginning to send that message out there. Yes, ma'am.
Question. Go ahead.
Okay.
Question. I don't have a question.
Okay. Dan, ask
Well,
your
I got a
question.
comment maybe. You talked about the grass cutting.
Yes.
And it seems like since the oil field took a little dip, we got more people cutting grass than we got yards. But it is a legit business that they have to go and get a license to do that. and we might want to make them aware of that because
Okay.
because if they're not licensed and insured to do it, then they don't get the letter that we're talking about what they can and cannot do.
That's a valid
And I'm
point.
pretty sure that 50% of them are not licensed in the city to cut grass. But someone questioned me the other day that if they open their grass cutting business in the parish, they don't need to get a license in the city to operate. I don't know if that's correct or not. Huh?
No, it's correct. If you have a parish license, theirs, I think you can do it.
I mean, that's pretty, just to give you an example, in my business,
You have to have a city
I
license.
need a city license in every city that I work in. I think we need to address
Is
that.
that just for grass cutting or is that for everything?
No, it's not for everything because, like in my business, I have to have a city
Yeah.
license as
That's what
well.
I'm saying. Like, is it just for grass cutting?
No.
I
But
think we need a list of.
I don't know. Why don't we research that and
That's
I'll
what
get
I'm saying.
back?
I would like a list of what you
What
can
other
get
businesses
at
can-
parish, that umbrella city that we don't know about as far as liability and all that. And I would like to know.
Because, I mean, we talking about grass cutting and about sending letters out, and if they're not licensed in the city, if they're cutting in the city, then they're not aware of, but I think every business, well, most businesses has license to do work, and do work in the city of New Iberia. How do they know our ordinances and what they need to do to abide by our laws? I think they all need to be licensed in the city to do work. That's just my opinion. But I think we should look into it because we're talking about
Okay.
grass cutting.
No,
and
let's
about-
research it. I mean, I know from the construction business, right, Jimmy?
Yeah.
As a contractor, as an air conditioning, plumbing, electrical,
Yeah.
air conditioning, GC, we have to have licenses inside the city. But I'm not sure about everything else.
Yeah.
That'll be
I
some
would
good
like to know
discussion.
who-
Grass cutting falls under the occupational.
Right, right.
And that's by address.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or like handyman services.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
I
would
will.
wanna know.
I'll get with Miss Cynthia. We'll compile a
didn't
list.
realize
That'll
that.
be interesting.
Yeah,
I
because,
think you gotta find, most things, we don't require a local license.
Yeah, I just want to know what the parish basically umbrellas and does it matter or not matter?
but that's what.
Like why, why
One at a time.
No.
like why do we, is it because you have to have a permit to do these things? You don't need a permit to cut grass? You get what I'm saying? Like
I do.
Inspection, really.
Yeah, it's not the permit; it's the inspection. But we'll compile a
Because
list. I'll put it on the agenda and we'll have a good discussion.
To the permit office, I can see why they would need one with the city as well. But if it's not applicable, then
Right.
there's no point in charging people extra to get a license in the city if the parish umbrellas it. But I would just like to know the definition of it and the reason why.
Okay, it's a good
I
point.
mean, some people I don't think need to have. Lord. So what? You want to be a handyman? You got to pay the parish, Generette, New Iberia, Board of it. I mean, that's getting kind of crazy.
Yeah,
Well,
one at a time. But we have to.
talking on that, yeah, you're right, man.
Dan?
No, you're right. But at least if they get a license as a no charge, at least they need to know what our guidelines are to do the work in
Right,
the
the
city.
parish can feed them.
Yeah.
They can have copies of what our rules are and hand them out.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
that's a good point. Natalie, you had your hand up. Or was that it? Hey, I'm just trying to follow the rules.
Oh man, I've been out of school a long time. No.
All right, well, then wait. I'm gonna look at it that we were efficient. We killed two birds with one stone. Okay.
Oh.
No, I was just sitting thinking.
Okay, Mark.
I don't. You take like your carpenters. I mean, most of your carpenters. You talk about somebody to come and change a board on your house or what have you. Hardly any of them have licenses. To be honest with you, and do they require?
Don't tell Jimmy.
Well,
No.
I mean,
I know.
You
I
got to
know.
do your work at night and in the back.
So I'm thinking service
weekend.
type industries.
Yeah, I know.
They've been for
The
years.
constant struggle of not only this city but every city is how far do I go to regulate? How do I stay developer friendly? How do I not crush the little guy?
How much do we not want Jimmy to get murdered?
But all of that kind of factors into how we make our decisions because you're right. There are many little things that go on in every community, and it's tough. And I only have one permit office. We have 3 employees in the permit office, so it's not easy to catch everything. And I think that's why we try to stick to the bigger issues,
He gets around though.
Yeah, well, yeah. Good. Any further discussion? This turned into a fun discussion.
Well, the only thing.
Yes, sir.
Back to board nose houses.
Okay.
We're still on that same item. We definitely need to get to that as soon as possible because they're still using those houses for illegal activities.
We understand that. And the police
Hiding
department's
guns,
well
I'm hearing
well
they hiding
aware.
guns in those houses. And
Yes.
the way our police department has been cracking down, I mean, the more we board them up, I think the quicker we'll be driving some of that stuff out of our communities. So
We agree, and let me tell you, if you're in law enforcement shoes and they got to be out on those streets and it's late at night and they got to go in those neighborhoods and you don't know who's hiding in that house, you don't know what you're going to encounter or how you're going to get ambushed, the sooner we can board them, the better, and we definitely realize that. That's one of the reasons that we are beginning this boarding process. One, our money goes further, but number two, it is a safety issue for our people who are out there. Any further discussion? Yes, Natalie.
My question was kind of related to when Marlon was talking about, Mr. Lewis was talking about how the city police got involved in one of his homes or whatever. And I know our protocol is we have to send, the certified letter or whatever.
Mhm.
So I guess it's like at what point, I guess like my thought process is that like at what point do we send them out? Because I feel like, yeah, they have other stuff to do that's more important, but I also feel like people just don't want any attention. Like there's a whole saying like just any attention could be bad attention. So it's like if you send them out there, people might be more motivated to clean it up just because they don't want them to deal with them. They don't want to deal with the city police. Like that's it. You get what am I making sense? It's like
I understand.
attention. Any attention is negative attention. Like just but I know we have to send the letter through the mail because we have to have proof, that it came back. But it's like at what point do they come in, or at what point do we try to send them in? Like before the certified letter, have them go try to serve, a hand serve a letter, or is that something the marshal's office could maybe get into?
We
You get what I'm saying? Like it's motivational.
I understand. Right now, with the way my officers are going call to call, and still things are getting better. Things are getting better. Don't think they're not. But with the amount of calls and the amount of bigger issues right now, guns, drugs, the big community issues, I don't really have any officers free to do those things. What we have maybe served 8 ordinance violations along with Jimmy that the police have gone. We are beginning to come up with a little system that as things ease up, as we continue to have successes, I do think the time's going to come that I will be able to take someone. I might be able to take one of my transport officers that on the days they're not doing court, that could go out and do those kind of things. When after the marshal's election, and we'll have a new permanent marshal, there might be some issues that they can handle. But I think for the immediate, our focus is still the bigger picture to make sure that we're driving that crime out of here. But at some point, yeah, we are. We've already talked to the Judge Hike. As you know, we've rearranged some ordinances that they will actually be able to go to court and do that, and we've done probably 7 or 8 so far. So we're kind of heading in that direction. Just be a little patient because, once we get our crime under control, those things will be more important. Not that they're not important now, but we just have bigger fish. But I do think that is part of what was missing in the city for many years, and now that we have a PD back, a lot of those kind of things are beginning to develop. It's Corey Porter did that on his own and just got on the telephone. That really wasn't, we have begun
like an aggressive type situation.
My
but
staff
just that present.
That's right. My staff has begun. Jimmy brings things to us, and Jimmy and I make the decision together as the way we're running it of a junk ordinance. Let's say there's trash at a house. One man's trash is another man's treasures. Okay, I'm not going to go and haul some things off and then be sued because you threw my good stuff away. Okay, so what we do, it's kind of hands-on, and I know I'm a micromanager. You can ask anybody. I drive and I go look myself, and I decide what's junk and what's not junk to the best of my ability, because I don't want to throw people's good stuff away. Okay, but in that process, it gets me out and gets me over there. And then what we've been doing, my staff's been picking up the phone. We had one that we probably would have sent Public Works to. My staff picked up the phone from my office and called and tracked the people down and said, we're about to put the dogs on you. Why don't you clean it up? That person started cleaning it up, started hauling things to the road. We didn't have to go the Jimmy process. We didn't have to go through that whole thing. And so what I'm trying to do Anything that my citizens can clean up their own mess on is cheaper for us, is less invasive, and you got one more family that maybe is not mad at the city. So my way of doing it is to kind of slow down at the beginning of the process. Now, if you don't do it, we cleaned up some property about 2 weeks ago, and the guys calling, screaming, lawyers texting, they're gonna sue me, all kind of stuff, cussing, ranting and raving. We were right, we did everything right, and that property needed to be cleaned up. I'll take the heat. But you don't have to do that on every instance. So kind of that hands-on approach or that getting someone's attention, I totally agree with that. Any further discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I just have a comment to make about some of the houses that are already boarded up, and they're in pretty good condition and all.
Mhm.
And I think we talked about it before, that drugs and crime happen around those areas. I mean, I see people just sitting on the porch with, maybe they might even have some lawn chairs or something on the porch. It's all boarded up. It's not their property, but they just having a good old time there. You know, a lot.
Mhm.
You know, it's a regular hangout for a group of people. They just gather at that boarded up house on the porch because they know nobody's there,
Mhm.
and just have a good time. What can we do about that?
Well, it's private property.
Yes, but
So the only
they're
way
on private property.
I know, and it's not their property.
Right.
But the only way that the police go in, if you notice, we've been putting signs up that say no loitering, no trespassing, or whatever, enforced by the city police. Leroy makes those signs for us. The owner, like right now, we're hitting the commercial stores and the commercial areas where we're having issues with people hanging out, congregating, shootings, those kind of things. We go to the property owner. They give us permission. My crew, Leroy goes out with a police officer, we talk to the owner, and we put the sign. Now my policemen have a tool. If they're riding by and there are 20 people congregated there, they can pull in, they can say, what are you doing here? You're either doing business here or you're not. No loitering, move on. That works. But we have to have that owner's permission. So my policeman can't drive by and say, because what's the first thing they're going to tell you? Oh, so-and-so owns this house. They let me. They told me I could sit on the porch, okay? Well, my patrolman who's going call to call, working one issue after another, he has no way to find out if they're lying or telling the truth. So, and it's evasive. We can't do that. So the only way we can break that up, when some criminal activity happens, if there's a crime going on, believe me, my cops can go. If the owner gives us permission and my police know that by it's posted, they can do something. But as far as for riding by and saying, boy, I bet none of those own that house and they shouldn't be there, you're probably right. But on the flip side, until they do some criminal activity, I don't have a way to stop that.
So if we see something like that, can we call in that address and maybe the owners be sent a letter?
We can try that. And if you call it in, my staff will do the best they can to find the owner and send them a letter. That's that kind of goes with my philosophy.
The sign posted there.
And if they want to do a sign that says I don't want to, fine. If we don't get a response, or if they say no, there's really nothing I can do.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I can write them a letter and say people are hanging out. Why don't you tell them not to? But they're not going to know who they are. I mean, this is our, it's a complicated mess in some instances. It really is.
But I mean,
Yes, Natalie.
any property that people are loitering on, all we have to do is go to the assessor's website, find out who owns it, there's a mailing address, and we can send a letter. We've observed loitering at this
can ask
property. If you're in objection to this, please contact the city. I mean, I know everybody has a lot of things to do, but I mean, we have the mailing address for every piece of property, whether or not it's accurate.
Not really everyone, but if they don't respond, we can't do
But we
anything.
have what's on the tax roll.
We do. We do. Jeff.
Very often, what's on the tax roll is the guy who's dead.
It could,
Or the
yeah,
guy
it
who's
could
out
be.
of town.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying let's go do a title search, but I'm saying, I mean, we have, you can send a letter to what's on the tax roll.
yeah.
Hillary can put a note in the system, we send a letter, and if we don't hear back, at least when Ms. Ledbetter calls a month from now and says, remember when I called, Hillary can say, we mailed a letter on April 1st and never heard back. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not going to go ballistic on it, but I mean, there is a simple way to send at least one letter to try to solve the first step.
I agree. And depending on the response, we'll see if we have a second step. We might not.
Right. I mean, no.
That's
we're
cool.
not gonna-
I'm fine with that. And
we
that
have to
like I said, that goes in.
streamline our resources.
That kind
but-
of goes in the philosophy of where we head. Any other discussion? Cool. Thank you. Now we move on to item 8B.
Natalie Lopez will discuss the city ordinance concerning the placing and removal of garbage containers.
Natalie, you have the floor.
Oh, I put this on the agenda because I have people that are frustrated about it, and I just kind of wanted to, I guess, reiterate it. But we do have an ordinance that you are not to put your trash can out 24 hours prior to pickup, and 24 hours after pickup, it's supposed to be brought back from the street or the sidewalk. You're supposed to bring it back past the neutral ground, so back onto your yard. Now, fortunately, it doesn't say it has to go in your backyard. It just says it has to be past the sidewalk and the neutral ground. And depending on where you live, neutral ground is usually about, 5 to 10 feet-ish from the sidewalk.
Yeah, you know.
It has to be about to the middle of your front yard if you want to play it safe. Is what I would say.
Just you won't pass the sidewalk, so if there's a sidewalk, no offense, it just has to go past the sidewalk. You're just trying to push it further.
I am. Get your trash cans out of the way. And I know people are frustrated because I've been frustrated with Republic and the fact that a lot of the trash, when they pick it up, the cans aren't necessarily in the upright position where they were when you pulled it back to your end of your driveway. But I do know that they are shorthand and that they are providing us a lot of services for a smaller amount of money than they're used to. So I would just like to kind of remind the residents to please pull your cans back. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, and it just makes the roads look so much cleaner. I'm sure the violation, it just says, violation of, we go back, if you violate this, as of right now, we don't have like a little gray line, like it's gonna be, first time's gonna be $25, next time's gonna be $50. But I will say this, at the end of this year, we will have a marshal's election. And I do believe in the next probably full calendar year, you're going to see a lot more collaboration between the marshal's office and the city police department, whoever it is that gets elected. And believe that will be something I will be going aggravate the city prosecutor about, because I do feel like we do need to have these fines, and people do need to understand if we see you littering, if we see you leaving your trash can out, if you just being sloppy, that there are going to be repercussions. No, do we really have time to babysit everybody? No. Do we want to babysit everybody? No. But at the same time, we just have such a cute, quaint town, and it's those little things that have a tendency to make our town look trashy, and it's almost thoughtless. Just, you put your trash out. I mean, to me, if you got a bag of trash in your house and you need to throw it outside, wouldn't you be happier if your trash can was at the back door than at the road where you left it on Tuesday? So that's kind of where I'm at. I just wanted to put it out there. I have some people really frustrated about it. Acadian Acres is a very big neighborhood in my district, and we're kind of I feel like it's one of the, not model New Iberia neighborhoods, but it's like that median, it's probably the biggest median income neighborhood in town, if that makes sense. Like the median, I think house is purchase is $130,000 to $140,000 in Acadian Acres. That's kind of like what it is, and it's a bunch of houses, and I have areas that just kind of didn't keep up with the maintenance of the yard and everything, and it's like, depending on where you're driving through my neighborhood, it throws it off. And it's simple things like your trash cans, your pets, your littering, cutting the grass, that just make a neighborhood like that appealable for these new young college students who want to buy a house or come back here and settle. It's like a perfect neighborhood to have a first home. And it's not going to be that way if we keep letting unattended areas be unattended areas, because the longer you leave something unattended, the more it just it festers and it grows. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that and just remind people about it and ask them to please be aware. And that's it. It is what it is.
Jeff.
Yeah, we have a lot of rental properties, and sometimes a phone call to the landlord helps. Because they
And
care.
it is on the city's website. In
Because
defense
they
of the
care.
city.
It is.
It is
Yeah.
on the city's website under the residents. Yeah, it's on the city's website. It's not like the city hasn't put it out there. I just think it hasn't been talked about for a long time. I don't think people realize that there's an ordinance. I really didn't. I mean, it's just habit. You watch your parents bring it to the road. You watch them pull it back. So you grow up and you pull it to the road and you bring it back.
So, yeah, I've called the landlord recently, and that sometimes helps. And sometimes I just pick up the can and roll it to the back door.
Thank you. Yeah. Dan.
One thing, the other day, a guy from Republic asked me, and I forgot to ask you about it. I don't know a lot of people that recycle, but some people still do, and they got the 2 cans. They asked if you could put them apart and not close to each other.
Yeah, so they can pick it
sometimes
up.
they have
The
to get
arm
out the
can't pick it
truck
up.
and that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're supposed to be 2 or 3 feet apart.
Normally they pull them both and just set them out there.
Yeah.
Well, it makes no sense that they issued them in the
Hey,
same
one at a
color.
time,
but that's
one at a
fine.
time.
I know why.
One
But
at a
anyway,
time.
and maybe when they bring their garbage cans to the back of the house, they can, after the election, put the political sign in them.
Oh Lord, now y'all don't start that order.
So the material's not recyclable?
That could get out of
No,
hand
it's
quick.
not.
That's about right. Political
Okay.
signs aren't recyclable.
Deidre.
Moron.
Yes,
Moving on.
what
I
about,
like wood ones.
well, I guess I know who's responsible, but what can we do about it? Garbage behind strip malls. There's a strip mall.
That's a
in-
problem. I've
in
had a lot of
my
complaints.
district, and they put a fence because people were going, in the
Digging.
little service road and everything. So they put a big fence, but now there's trash all against that fence, and it's just there.
It ends up being Mr. Landry. Because what happens is, we have some stores that it is pitiful. The way that they handle their waste in their dumpsters, I'm not going to name them, but we've had a couple of stores, we've had quite a few complaints. Jimmy's has to go there. It's been a safety issue. The fire department went, I think, and said, dude, clean this up. I mean, it's a hazard. We have some that actually, unfortunately, the management is that bad. We do send them letters, we pay them visits, and Jimmy can go under our junk ordinance or, our trash ordinance and take care of that. But normally we try to visit. Again, I don't have the resources or the manpower to fix every problem. So what we're trying to do is communicate and then win those small victories of pointing out, saying, hey, clean up your mess. 50-60% of the time people comply. Some of them never do, but they get letters, they get visits, and at some point we can take action. If I sent Public Works to pick up every complaint that is called to our office, we would do no roads, we would do no drainage, we would do nothing else, and our budget would be drained. So we have to take this kind of people approach and try to get people to clean up, be responsible, and clean their own messes up. But that is, I've had quite a few calls in the 2 years I've been here, and we have responded to quite a few of those, and a couple of them repeatedly. But we'll stay on it, but that is a problem. Definitely. Dustin.
Like you did say, the PD does have bigger fish to fry right now at this point. I understand the frustration of people with the garbage cans. I totally get it. And like you said, maybe next year, Marshall works for the PD, gets it done, fine. But also, I do want to give a shout out to my neighbor because he puts my trash up for me sometimes and brings it to the back. So I appreciate that. He knows who he is. So thank you. That's what it is.
I think he used to be my neighbor. He'd pick mine up too.
Yes.
Any further
Great
discussion? Yeah. Any further discussion? This was some good discussion. Thank y'all. We're moving on to item 9.
Council remarks.
I'm gonna start on Dustin's side tonight.
Yeah, I do have one. We got the Festival of Live Oaks is coming up, and that will be next weekend, I believe, the 16th. So, some good family fun, good music, some great barbecue. We do still have time available to go ahead and sign up for like vendor booths, stuff like that. I'm not sure where we're at with the cooking team as far as now, but I think we got a little bit more going on this year, being that it's a political year for out in the parish. So
9? I think we have 9 teams.
9 teams? That's great. That's a lot better than last year. So, still waiting for 10. The mayor hasn't confirmed yet, but yeah, but that's all I got to say. Let's please support the parks and come out and enjoy a good day. And it's a quick festival. It's a one-day event. So, just please come out and give us some support. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Councilman Gibb?
Mr. Dustin, last year you promised me some barbecue.
Yeah, but you showed up late.
But I came though. And this year I was gonna put in my request again so that way I'll be able to actually get to taste some of your barbecue.
I'll save a plate for you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. We have a neighborhood watch meeting on March the 14th at 315 Week Street at 6 p.m. We have a couple of guest speakers to speak very briefly. So we just want to invite the residents to come out, not just District 5, but the entire city. Residents are invited. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Ledger?
I just hope that everybody had a happy Mardi Gras, and hopefully if you're Catholic you were able to get your ashes today. And I do want to ask for us to continue to pray for those victims of the tornadoes that happened. It could have been us, so please continue to pray for them in Alabama and Florida and in Georgia. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Maxine? No, thank you.
Talking about trash, or picking up trash, people need to understand if you could start raking leaves now because maybe spring's about to be here, you can't just leave a pile of leaves up the street. You gotta put them in a container to get them picked up. And that, I'm probably talking out of turn, but Mayor is not the one that has the state police coming to the city. People keep saying, why y'all keep having state police in the city? Y'all not doing that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. It's not the city doing it.
No.
Okay.
I have city
But
police.
we
and they
can't
do a
stop,
great job.
we can't stop them from coming in the city.
No, we can't.
That's all I wanted, because somebody was saying, no, we got plenty of policemen, we don't need them.
That's right.
But they can come in
do a
wherever they
good job.
want.
They can.
Thank you.
Thanks. Marlo?
No comments on that.
Thank you. Natalie?
I have just like, I guess it's an announcement. I went to, well, I have a friend who informed me, and I was unaware, that Mardi Gras was apparently started in Mobile, Alabama. I didn't know that.
Yep.
So I went last weekend for like a 4-day trip to Mobile, Alabama. And I just want to express to everyone, like, and it made me so grateful for the Bayou Mardi Gras Association, because it's like what I got to witness there. It's kind of like they have like a New Orleans theme kind of downtown. Like it has the same street names and the same vibe. And not saying anything bad about New Orleans, but it's so just clean and family friendly. And the parade, the parades were like our parade that we have in New Iberia. The only difference is they have barricades, obviously, because the population is bigger for Mardi Gras. But it was just amazing to see. There's a Mardi Gras museum that I went to. It was just gorgeous. And there's actually a boutique in there in the downtown of Mobile called the Malaga Inn. And Malaga is actually a place in Spain, which is where the Lopez family is from. And the Lopez family is one of the 5 founding families of the city of New Iberia. So it was just so cool to see that. So I just encourage people, if you haven't and you like Mardi Gras and your kids like it, it's definitely something worth checking out. I mean, it just really, I went there like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go see Mardi Gras, and I was just like, oh wow, like it takes it to another level. And as far as getting to see the history of it all, I just think it was just something to see. And it, just like I said, it made me so grateful for the Bayou Mardi Gras Association, what they have done for us, because now that I've seen Lafayette Parade, I go to Lafayette Parades, I go to Youngsville Parades, I've been there and I've been here. I mean, our parade that we are having here is really, it's really top notch. We're very lucky, I believe, with as far as the quality of the floats, our entertainment, and the throws that they gave out this year. I just really want to thank our community for putting forth the effort to that, because we're lucky. We are.
Cool. Thank you. All I have is the next meeting. We're back on our regular schedule, March 19th. And Civic Source, we still got a lot of properties for sale that you could help us and clean them up. So that's it. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Great, thank y'all. That was unanimous.